Kalen Ward never liked leaving his small research station without warning, but the strange signal on his console kept flashing again and again. It wasn't human. It wasn't any known emergency code either. It pulsed in an unusual rhythm, soft and almost musical, as if it came from something alive rather than a machine. He leaned closer to the screen, adjusting the filters. "It's coming from Sector 9 Blue," he murmured. "No human ships pass through there." Sector 9 Blue sat close to the edge of the Zenari Dominion, a region humans usually avoided to prevent misunderstandings. The Zenari were an advanced alien species, private and cautious. And their technology was different from anything humans built, grown, not made. Shaped, rather than engineered. Still, Kalen also knew one universal rule. A distress signal meant someone needed help. He couldn't ignore that, not when there was even a tiny chance a life was at risk. Kalen checked his small shuttle, Horizon Leaf. Everything was working. Fuel cells stable, navigation solid, and the life support module was humming gently. He grabbed a snack bar from a drawer, tossed it onto the pilot seat, and said out loud, mostly to himself, "All right, let's go see who needs a hand." The shuttle lifted quietly from the metal pad and slipped into the soft blue haze of the upper atmosphere. Kalen guided it toward the signal, watching the stars stretch and reform as the ship passed at sublight speed through empty, peaceful space. The distress beacon grew louder and more urgent as he entered 9 Blue. Then, a shape appeared on his scanner. Small, organic in structure, wrapped in pulsating lines of biolight. Definitely Zenari. Kalen's eyebrows rose. "A pod? Out here alone?" He approached slowly. The pod's outer shell looked cracked, like a living creature struggling to breathe. It emitted fading waves of pale green light, almost like crying. Kalen felt a tightness in his chest. Whoever is inside doesn't have long. He connected his shuttle's soft dock ring around the pod. The light inside flickered weakly, and he could already hear faint alarms through the hull. They weren't sharp noises like human alarms. They sounded almost like a heartbeat losing rhythm. Inside the pod, the atmosphere sensors reported unstable pressure, dropping temperature, and inconsistent oxygen flow. Kalen didn't hesitate. He opened his toolkit, knowing he had only moments before the pod failed completely. The internal mechanics were unlike anything he'd seen. Zenari technology grew its own circuits like vines. Their machines breathed, pulsed, and lived. One wrong cut could kill the entire system, Kalen whispered. "Okay, buddy. Think. How do you fix something that's half technology, half biology?" He traced the energy pulse lines with a careful finger. The pod had a primary core that was beating irregularly, a failing organ. That was the problem. The secondary lines were misaligned, sending energy backward instead of forward. Kalen exhaled slowly. "All right. I may not understand your biology, but a circuit is a circuit. If energy is going the wrong way, I just need to convince it to go the right way." He began working, using only soft tools, microlasers, resonant probes, and thermal stabilizers. Every time he touched a surface, the pod's light responded, glowing brighter or dimmer, as if reacting to pain or relief. He spoke softly while adjusting small growth channels. "You're doing fine. I promise I won't hurt you. Let's keep going." Soon, the pod gave a faint mechanical sigh, as if releasing stress. That encouraged him. He slid his hand into the organic panel, gently realigning a bundle of shimmering fiber tubes. Then he heard a small sound from inside, soft, trembling, like the whimper of a frightened child. Kalen froze. "There's someone conscious in there," he whispered. The thought pushed him to work faster, but with even more care. He activated his thermal pad to warm the pod's failing biocore, then used a feedback tool to restabilize the pulse lines. The heartbeat-like rhythm steadied, and then a soft chime echoed. The pod's emergency locks released. The inner shell opened slowly, revealing a young Zenari, perhaps no older than 8 or 9 by human comparison. Her skin shimmered in shades of violet and pale silver, delicate patterns flowing across her cheeks like living constellations. She breathed unevenly but was alive. Her eyes opened a soft golden glow, full of confusion and fear. Kaylin raised both hands gently. "Hey there, you're safe. I'm Kaylin. I'm human. I'm here to help." The girl stared at him for a long moment. Her voice was whisper-soft, shaped like music. "You fixed the pod?" Kaylin nodded. "I tried my best. Let's get you somewhere warm." "Okay?" She reached out one small hand, uncertain. Her fingers were thin, slightly translucent, and cool to the touch. Callan carefully lifted her and carried her into the shuttle. As he set her down on a soft passenger bench, she looked around with wide eyes. "This is human craft?" "Yeah," he said with a light laugh. "Not as elegant as yours, but sturdy. And it won't let you freeze." The girl blinked, studying him as if trying to understand what kind of creature he was. Humans were not commonly seen by Zenari children, maybe not at all. But instead of fear, curiosity filled her gaze. "What is your name again?" "Kaylin." She touched her chest lightly. "I am Zyri, daughter of—" She hesitated, as if unsure whether she should continue, but Kaylin already understood. He had seen enough news broadcasts to recognize the name Ziri, a rare and honored name in Zenari culture. He swallowed. "You're the princess." "One." Zyri tilted her head. "I do not know this word. It means someone very important." Her golden eyes dimmed a little with confusion. "I was not supposed to be outside our home region. Our pod was taking me to the orbital gardens." "What happened?" Callan asked gently. "I do not know." Lights shook, the pod grew cold, and then, nothing. The little girl hugged her knees. "I was scared." Kaylin sat beside her, careful not to crowd her. "It's all right. Anyone would be scared. But you're safe now. I promise." The princess looked at him again, really looked, and her expression softened. For the first time since he found her, she smiled. It was small, fragile, but warm. "You helped me. Humans help." Kaylin chuckled quietly. "We try." A soft tone interrupted them. The pod behind them emitted a bright pulse, almost like a signal of recovery. His console lit up with dozens of incoming alerts. His eyes widened. Zyri? I think your people just noticed you're alive." She nodded calmly. "Yes. The Queen will sense the pod has opened. She will know I live." "The Queen?" Ziri's smile widened. "My mother." Kaylin almost felt his heart stop. He had saved the daughter of the Zenari Queen, one of the most respected and powerful rulers in the region. And now, dozens of Zenari signals lit up space like a rising dawn. Patrol ships, royal transports, communication beams. The entire Dominion knew a human had rescued the princess. Callan felt a nervous chill. "Your mother, she's not going to be upset that a human touched her pod system, right?" Ziri shook her head with innocent certainty. "No. Mother says all lives are important. She will thank you." Kaylin wasn't sure he believed that, but it eased him slightly. Outside, the stars brightened as elegant Zenari ships approached, their hulls glowing like wings shaped from starlight. Zyri touched Callan's sleeve, her small fingers glowing softly. "Do not worry, Callan. I will tell her you saved me." He smiled softly. "Thanks. That means a lot." 80 Sev, inside the shuttle, warm lights glowed, and the little princess rested calmly beside him. Outside, the Zenari Dominion gathered, preparing to meet the human who had done the impossible. Kaylin didn't know it yet, but this rescue, this simple act of kindness, would change not just his life, but the future of two civilizations. And somewhere on a distant world, an alien queen already felt the faint echo of her daughter's safety, and the presence of the mysterious human who made it possible. When Kaylin's shuttle slowed to a stop, it was surrounded by Zenari ships that shone like drifting crystal flowers. Their soft light washed over the horizon leaf, turning the small human shuttle into a tiny gray pebble among glowing stars. Kaylin tried to keep his breathing calm, but Ziri could hear his nervous heartbeat. "You do not need to be afraid," she said softly, sitting beside him. My people are peaceful. Oh, I believe that, Callan said, rubbing the back of his neck. I'm just not used to being in the middle of a royal search party. Ziri giggled, a sound like gentle bells. You saved me. They will be grateful. Mother most of all. Before Callan could respond, the main comm panel lit up with a wave of shimmering patterns. Alien symbols drifted across the screen like living threads. Ziri touched them lightly, and they rearranged into a message. My mother asks that you come to the royal palace, she translated. Callan blinked. She wants to see me? Personally? Yes, Ziri nodded, as if this were the most natural thing in the universe. You saved the air. That is something very rare. Callan didn't know whether to feel honored or terrified. Arriving on the royal ship, the Horizon Leaf was gently guided into the docking chamber of the largest Xenari vessel. The inside looked like a living cathedral, high ceilings shaped like curved petals, glowing vines running along the walls, and colors shifting like soft sunset light. A group of Xenari attendants waited at the entrance. Their eyes glowed in soft gold and violet, and each of them bent slightly toward Ziri in respect. But they also stared at Callan with open curiosity. One of them stepped forward. She wore garments woven from biolite threads that pulsed gently. Human Callan Ward, she said in clear but melodic English. The Queen requests your presence. She awaits you in the celestial hall. Callan nodded politely. Thank you. I'm honored. Ziri held his hand for a moment and whispered, Mother will like you. Then the attendants guided her away toward a private healing chamber. Callan followed another attendant down a long corridor. His boots echoed softly on the smooth, warm floor. Everything felt alive. The walls, the air, even the lights. Xenari architecture was gentle, calming, almost like walking through a living garden. As he walked, whispers drifted through the hall. That is the human who saved the princess. Impossible. Their technology is so primitive, but he did it. The pod's core would have failed. Humans, interesting creatures. Callan tried not to react. He kept his expression calm. But inside, he felt like someone had placed a spotlight directly over his head. The celestial hall. The hall doors opened like blooming petals. The chamber inside was grand yet serene. Its walls shimmered with flowing patterns that resembled stars moving through water. A platform of soft white stone rose in the center, and on it sat the Xenari queen, Queen Velara. She was tall, elegant, and radiant, her skin a deeper shade of silver blue than her daughter's, with bright constellations along her arms and cheeks. Her eyes glowed with controlled emotion, calm, powerful, but touched with something softer beneath the surface. Callan felt his breath hitch. He had met ambassadors and diplomats before, but never someone who carried such quiet strength. The queen stood as he approached. Human Callan Ward, she said. Her voice was warm, resonant, soothing. You saved my daughter. Callan bowed slightly. I did what anyone would do, Your Majesty. No. Velara answered gently. Not anyone. Many ships detected the distress signal. None approached. Only yours. None. Callan blinked. That fact surprised even him. You acted without fear, she continued, stepping down from the platform. Without hesitation. Without concern for borders or misunderstandings between our people. She stopped before him, close enough that he could feel the faint warmth of her biolite aura. For this, I thank you not as a queen, but as a mother. Callan's throat tightened. He hadn't expected that level of sincerity. I'm glad she's safe, he said softly. She's an amazing kid. A faint smile touched Velara's lips. She is. And you have become important to her. She speaks of you with trust. That surprised him even more. I didn't do anything special, he insisted. Velara tilted her head in that graceful Xenari way. Humility is a human trait I find fascinating. The court's curious eyes. Suddenly, the hall grew brighter as members of the royal court entered. Advisors, scholars, Nobles, all watching him with interest. Some with awe, some with skepticism. A tall Zenari scholar approached. "Your Majesty, may we ask the human a question?" Velara nodded. "You may." The scholar studied Callan's simple human clothes, his calloused hands, and his tired expression. "Human Callan," he began. "How did you repair the pod? Our engineers trained for decades." "Could not." Callan shrugged awkwardly. "I just followed the energy flow. Your pods are like living things. I treated it like a patient instead of a machine." The hall went silent. Then several nobles murmured in surprise. "One who heals machines?" He understood the pod's energy like instinct. "Humans adapt quickly." The queen's eyes softened. "That is why I summoned him," she said to her court. "To witness a mind that solves what ours cannot." Callan felt his ears grow hot. "I really don't think I'm that special." Velara stepped closer. "But you are. To my daughter. And to our future." A queen's request. Velara extended her hand. It glowed softly, an invitation. "Callan Ward, will you stay for a time? Ziri wishes to speak with you more. And I..." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I would like to learn from you. From your instincts, from the way your people think." Callan blinked, unsure whether to be honored or overwhelmed. "You want me to teach Zenari engineers?" A low ripple of amusement passed through the court. The queen's smile was gentle. "No. I want you to teach us something deeper. Humans do not merely repair. You feel. You listen to machines as if they have hearts." He gave a small laugh. "Well, sometimes I talk to them when I'm stressed. Does that count?" The queen tilted her head, curious. "You speak? To your machines?" "Sure," Callan said. "Doesn't everyone?" Whispers broke through the hall again, full of disbelief and interest. "Humans communicate with their tools? No wonder they excel at improvisation. Fascinating habits." Velara looked at him with warm amusement. "I see why my daughter feels comfortable with you," she said. Callan finally nodded. "If you want me to stay for a bit, I guess I can. I'd like to make sure Ziri is all right anyway." Velara's expression softened in a way no court member missed. "I am pleased," she said quietly. A growing curiosity. The queen led Callan through a private passage toward the healing chamber, where Ziri rested. As they walked, she spoke gently. "You are different from what I expected of a human." "Oh?" Callan said, glancing at her. "What did you expect?" She considered this. Directness. Ambition. A desire to impress. But instead, I find warmth, simplicity, a peaceful spirit. Callan rubbed his neck awkwardly. "I'm just a researcher. I fix old machines, take notes, and eat too many snack bars." Velara actually laughed a soft, musical sound that made several attending guards stare in disbelief. "I see," she said. "Perhaps that is why you are refreshing." Her gaze lingered on him a moment longer than expected, thoughtful and warm. Callan felt a strange flutter in his stomach, though he quickly ignored it. Reunion with the princess. Ziri sat upright in her healing nest when they arrived. "Callan," she called, reaching toward him. He smiled and went to her side. "Hey, Star Girl. Feeling better?" "Yes, much better. The healers say the pod was very close to failure." Callan nodded. "Yeah, but you're safe now." She looked up at her mother. "Mother, can Callan stay? Please?" Velara brushed a gentle hand across her daughter's forehead. "He will stay for a time," she said. "He has agreed to help us understand his ways." Ziri clapped her hands happily. But Callan noticed the queen watching him not with suspicion, but with a growing, warm curiosity. A kind of attention that felt personal. He tried not to think too much about it. After all, he had only been here a few hours. She was a queen. He was him. Still, a soft thought whispered in his mind. Why does she look at me like that? Closing of Part 2. As Callan settled near the princess, and Queen Velara observed the gentle human who had saved her child, something shifted quietly in the atmosphere of the palace. The court sensed it. Ziri sensed it. Even Velara seemed aware of it, though she said nothing. A bond, slow, soft, unexpected, had begun to form, and no one, not even Callan, understood just how deeply it would change all their lives. Callan had only meant to stay for a few days, just long enough to make sure Ziri was healthy and return to his quiet research life. But the Zenari Dominion had a gentle way of pulling someone in, especially someone who enjoyed quiet places, soft lights, and interesting machines. And the palace was full of interesting machines. Every corridor held living devices that listened to touch. Plants shaped into glowing panels. Walls that changed color based on the mood of the room. Even the lights seemed to breathe slowly, rising and falling in brightness like calm ocean waves. Callan couldn't stop staring. Ziri laughed at him every time. "You look like a hatchling seeing the gardens for the first time." "Well, everything here is incredible," Callan replied, eyes following a floating orb of light that acted like a guide. "Your whole palace feels alive." "That is because it is," she said proudly. Callan slowly adjusted to the new surroundings, but something else began to happen, something he didn't expect at all. Queen Velara kept watching him, not in a suspicious way, not even in an official way, but in a soft, thoughtful way that made Callan feel seen even when he didn't mean to be noticed. And the more she watched him, the more curious she became. Morning in the palace. On the third morning, Callan entered the grand atrium to find Queen Velara standing near the glowing water garden. She was testing a crystal tablet, her fingers moving gracefully over its surface. A cluster of advisors waited behind her, whispering quietly. The moment she sensed Callan, she turned. "You rise early," she said. Callan shrugged. "Your palace lights wake up before I do," Velara smiled softly. "Yes. The palace greets the dawn cycle. It sings to the walls." Callan blinked. "It sings? Something like a morning alarm?" The queen tilted her head. "I do not know this word. A sound that wakes you up," Callan explained, usually annoying. Velara let out a small laugh, soft but warm. "Then yes. It is like that." The advisors stared. They rarely heard their queen laugh. Velara stepped closer. "Ziri says you told her a story about human gardens?" "Yeah," Callan said. "Where I lived as a kid, there was a big garden center. Lots of flowers, lots of colors. Nothing as magical as this, though." The queen examined him with calm curiosity. "Humans grow simple plants. We shape them into art. But perhaps your simple gardens also have beauty." Callan smiled. "They did to me." Velara paused for a moment, watching him with an expression he couldn't quite understand. Admiration? Interest? Something warm and quiet? Before he could ask, an advisor stepped forward. "Your Majesty, the Council awaits your energy review." Velara raised a gentle hand. "They may wait a moment." Then she turned her gaze back to Callan. "Walk with me." An unexpected invitation. Callan tried to keep up with her long, graceful strides. Zenari moved like they were walking through flowing water, almost floating. Callan, by comparison, walked like someone trying not to trip on an elegant carpet. Velara noticed his quiet struggle and slowed her pace. "Forgive me," she said. "I walk too quickly when my mind is busy." "It's all right," Callan replied. "I usually walk like this too. Except less royalty around me." Velara smiled again. She led him to a balcony overlooking the palace grounds. The view was breathtaking. Floating gardens, shimmering platforms, and a sky full of drifting lights from hovering structures. "This," she said, "is the heart of our capital." Callan leaned against the railing. "It's beautiful." "We shaped this place with patience," Velara said. "With calm hands. Our people do not rush." "I can tell," Callan chuckled. "Everything here feels peaceful." The queen watched his face as he took in the view. "What is your home like?" she asked. "Oh. Quieter," Callan admitted. "Metal walls. Hard floors. Small gardens. Nothing fancy. But you love it." "I do. It's home." Velara's gaze lingered on him. "You speak of your world with tenderness." Then, gently, she asked. Do you miss it? Callan looked at the sky. Sometimes. But being here doesn't feel bad. The Queen's expression softened at his words, though she hid it well. Observations of a queen. Over the next few days, Callan found himself invited to more palace activities than he expected. A science demonstration with Zenari students. A tour of the living archives. A meal-sharing ritual where glowing fruits smelled like warm honey. A council session where he was asked to give human perspectives. And at every event, Velara stayed close. Not in an obvious way, not hovering or intruding, but always nearby, always listening when he spoke, always studying the way he solved problems. One afternoon, she watched him repair a small palace device whose lights had dimmed. He knelt beside it, hummed softly, and tapped the side. The device chirped, fluttered, and brightened. Velara stepped forward, astonished. You soothed it, she said. With sound? Callan scratched his head. I was just humming. Helps me focus. The Queen tilted her head. Our engineers would not think to use something so gentle. Guess humans are weird, he joked. Not weird, she corrected. Warm. Callan felt his cheeks warm slightly. The princess notices. Ziri, recovering quickly, spent most afternoons exploring the palace with Callan. She held his hand freely now, completely trusting him. One day, as they walked through a glowing corridor, she looked up with a bright smile. You make Mother happy, she said. Callan blinked. What? Me? Yes, Ziri said proudly. Her light changes color when she is near you. What color? He asked, confused. Soft silver, she said. It is the color of comfort. Callan felt his heart skip. Oh. Well, I'm glad if she feels comfortable. Ziri nodded. Mother says, humans are very strange. But I think she likes strange. Sense of lime. Since your 40. Sense of lime's crime. Callan laughed nervously. Let's not tell her you said that. Why? Ziri asked innocently. Callan had no answer. Private conversations. Later that evening, Velara invited Callan to the quiet meditation chamber, large, softly lit, with floating lanterns that drifted like stars. I hope you do not mind a short talk, she said as they entered. Not at all, Callan replied. The Queen sat gracefully on a cushion, and Callan sat across from her. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Velara said, Callan, you have changed the atmosphere in this palace. Phelan. 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 How? He asked. You bring a new energy, she said. Simple, calm, honest. My advisors do not understand it, but I feel it clearly. Callan rubbed the back of his neck. I'm just being myself. Yes, Velara's voice softened. And perhaps that is why it affects me. Callan looked up, surprised. Affects you? In what way? The Queen hesitated not out of fear, but out of careful thought. I have lived many cycles, she said. I have led my people with strength, with logic, with discipline. But I have forgotten what it feels like to relax, to laugh, to trust someone outside my own kind. Her eyes met his. You reminded me. Callan's heart thudded softly. I didn't try to do anything. Exactly, she said. Your presence is natural, gentle. It influences the room without forcing anything. He didn't know what to say. Velara continued softly. Ziri feels safe with you, and I find myself seeking your company, though I do not fully understand why. Callan opened his mouth, then closed it. His mind spun, but in a warm, confusing way. The Queen's eyes held a quiet question, a question she didn't voice, a feeling she didn't name. Not yet. Closing of Part 3. As they sat together in the soft light of the meditation chamber, neither spoke further. They didn't need to. Something gentle was growing between them, something unplanned, something the Queen had not experienced in many years, something Callan had never expected in his entire life. A bond, warm, fragile, and quietly strong, was forming. And soon, the entire Dominion would feel its ripple. Callan never planned to stay in the Zenari Palace for more than a few days. Yet somehow, days turned into a week, then 2. Each day brought something new, another conversation with Velara, another strange glowing device to fix, another story Zairi begged him to tell. He didn't feel trapped. He felt welcomed, even peaceful. But something else was happening too. Something bigger than his stay. Word of the human who saved the princess had spread across the Dominion. And with it, curiosity, respect, even admiration. Zenari from far districts sent messages filled with soft lights and warm greetings, thanking him for saving their heir. Scholars requested to meet him. Engineers wanted to study his methods. Children sent drawings of him holding Zairi's hand. Kaelin felt overwhelmed, but the queen seemed quietly pleased by every message. And now, the biggest moment had arrived. The gathering of celestial voices. It was one of the most important diplomatic events in the entire Dominion. Leaders, scholars, cultural representatives, and high-ranking families from all regions would attend. Kaelin didn't know what the queen planned, but everyone else seemed to feel it in the air, a gentle tension, a soft excitement, like a storm of light preparing to form. The day of the gathering, the palace was bright with preparations. Glowing banners floated through the hallways. Soft music vines hummed gentle harmonies as attendees arrived. The halls filled with thousands of flowing colors as Zenari from every district took their places. Kaelin wore simple, formal clothes given to him by the attendants, loose, comfortable robes woven with pale light. They made him look like he belonged in the palace, even if he still felt out of place. Zairi tugged his sleeve as they approached the main chamber. "Are you nervous?" she asked with a curious tilt of her head. "A little," Kaelin admitted. "There are a lot of important people here." "You are important too," Zairi said firmly. Kaelin laughed softly. "Not like your mother." But Zairi shook her head with a wise seriousness far beyond her age. "Mother says importance does not come from birth. It comes from what the heart does." Kaelin felt his chest warm at her words. Before he could respond, the chamber doors opened. The celestial chamber. The chamber was enormous, shaped like a star, with 5 long wings of seating that shimmered with silver light. Floating lanterns drifted overhead, casting warmth across the room. In the center rose a single platform where Queen Velara stood. She looked powerful and calm, her silver-blue skin glowing softly. But when her gaze found Kaelin entering at the back of the chamber, something in her expression softened. Kaelin didn't know whether to bow or wave or just stand still, so he simply offered a small, shy smile. Velara gave the faintest nod in return. A musical chime echoed through the hall. Silence followed. The gathering had begun. The queen's address. Velara stepped forward, her voice echoing gently through the vast chamber. "My people," she said, "we gather to speak of unity, of growth, and of the path ahead." Every Zenari listened with deep respect. "Our dominion thrives," Velara continued, "but even we must learn from others. This cycle has shown us something new, something unexpected." She paused, letting her words settle. "Compassion from a species we knew little about. Bravery from a mind that thinks differently. And kindness from a heart that asks for nothing." Kaelin shifted nervously. His palms felt warm. The queen lifted her hand. "Bring forth the human Kaelin Ward." A soft gasp moved through the crowd like a breeze. Kaelin swallowed hard and walked slowly toward the center platform. He felt thousands of golden eyes on him. Zairi smiled excitedly from her seat, giving him 2 thumbs up, an adorable gesture she had copied from humans. When he reached the platform, he stood beside the queen, awkward but steady. Velara turned toward the crowd. "This human saved my daughter," she said. "But more than that, he reminded us of something precious." Her voice grew softer. "He reminded us that even the simplest gestures, a gentle touch, a calming word, a moment of patience, can change a life." The entire chamber listened in complete silence. The queen's decision. Velara faced Kaelin fully now, her eyes glowing with gentle warmth. "Kaelin Ward," she said, "you came to our borders alone. You risked misunderstanding, confusion, and fear. Yet you acted with an open heart." Kaelin swallowed. "I just helped someone who needed it." "And that," Velara said softly, is exactly why you deserve recognition. The hall lights brightened. For the first time in our history, she declared, I choose a being not of our species as my chosen ally. A wave of astonishment rippled through the chamber. Lights flickered in surprise. Voices murmured softly. Callan blinked, confused. You're what? Velara stepped forward, placing one hand gently on his shoulder. The gesture sent a soft wave of silver light through the hall. In Zenari tradition, she explained, a chosen ally is more than an advisor, more than a companion, more than a friend. Kalen's heart pounded. It is someone the queen trusts above all others, Velara said. Someone who stands beside her. Someone whose voice carries the same weight as her own. The entire hall glowed softly. And I choose you. Kalen froze. He wasn't royal. He wasn't trained. He wasn't even Zenari. I don't know what to say, he whispered. Velara smiled gently. Then speak your heart. Kalen looked out at the sea of glowing faces, then up at the queen. He took a deep breath. I don't know much about your traditions, he said carefully. And I'm just a simple human engineer. He paused, choosing his words. If being your chosen ally means helping your people, supporting Zyri, and standing with you, then I accept. The hall erupted in shimmering light. Warm, welcoming, beautiful. Zyri cheered loudly, completely forgetting her royal manners. A quiet moment after the storm. After the ceremony, Velara walked with Callan through the quiet gardens outside the chamber. The lights were soft, the air warm, the plants glowing gently like soft candles. I hope I did not overwhelm you, she said softly. Callan laughed. A little, but in a good way. Velara stopped walking and turned to face him. This choice was not made lightly. I trust you, Callan, more than you realize. He looked down, unsure what to say. I trust you too. For a moment, neither moved. Then Velara took a quiet breath. There is more I wish to say, but not tonight. Tonight, let us enjoy peace. Callan nodded. Peace sounds good. They walked side by side, no titles between them, just two people sharing a quiet moment under a glowing sky. The future begins. Later that night, Zyri ran to Callan with excitement. You are Mother's chosen now. That means you stay here forever. Callan laughed. Maybe not forever, but I'll be here for a while. Zyri hugged his arm tightly. Good. You belong here. Callan looked around the palace, the gentle lights, the living walls, the soft hum of alien technology, and for the first time, he realized she might be right. Maybe he really did belong here. And as Queen Velara watched him from the balcony above, her eyes glowing softly, it became clear. This was only the beginning. A beginning neither human nor Zenari could have predicted. A bond stronger than culture, stronger than species, stronger than fear. A bond born from compassion, grown through trust, and shaped by a queen's gentle heart.